Hey everyone, Sheldon here, and as you can see, the paper full-size dual-action hidden blade is disassembled in front of me right now. As you may know, I have a video tutorial series showing how to build this entire project. If you just happen to stumble across this video, then you can check out the tutorial videos, which will be linked in the description below. Alright, so anyway, this video in particular is showing how this entire thing functions, what each individual moving part actually does, because sometimes that can be a hard concept to grasp. First of all, it's good to have some sort of understanding on how an OTF mechanism works. The OTF mechanism has been around for a very long time, and people over the years have learned how to manipulate it to turn it into cool stuff like this. So it's pretty cool. Alright, so the first thing that makes this entire thing function are these two spring-loaded locks right here. As you can see, they always want to go out this direction because there is a bent spring in the back that pushes it that way. And it doesn't really matter how it's pushed that way, it only matters if it is actually pushing that way. So there are two of them, one at the top and one at the base. Both of these locks pivot on some sort of pivot pin. In this case, it's just, a little wire I found somewhere. So this is what the blade looks like. It's just a paper blade, stacked up paper, and it has a step right here and a step right here. And those two steps are where these locks contact. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here so you can see how this kind of pivots. So first of all, as you can see, right here toward the back, if this is going forward, it will not be able to go all the way forward. It will be stopped by that lock because it's spring-loaded, which means it's always pushing that direction. Now if that moves out of the way, this blade can go forward, and it will continue forward until it starts to go past this lock. And once it goes all the way past, since it's spring-loaded, it locks behind it, which prevents this from going back. So if this moves out of the way, the exact same thing. Goes all the way back, goes past the lock, and locks into place. So those two locks are very important for this entire mechanism to work. You may also notice this rectangular piece at the bottom of the blade, and that's also very important. So these two components right here, I called them the sliding components because that's pretty much what they do, and they are hooked together using a rubber band. It has a hook there, and you put the rubber band here and it will pull, and you take the other one and you put it here as well. So that will pull them toward each other all the time. And basically it has a rectangular piece right there and a long piece right here, and this long piece right here slides through this channel that is created between these two walls. So just like this, as you can see, that can move around freely in there. So here's the top of the sliding component for the bottom right here, and if I flip it over, there's a rectangular piece right there, and that rectangular piece will hook on to this rectangular piece. As you can see, this is what's going to cause the entire thing to go forward. So here's the rectangle piece, and there. So as you can see, it will hook onto the back just like that, and that's what pulls it forward. So if I take this blade and I put it in here like this, you already know that since this lock is being constantly pushed that direction, this will not be able to go forward because it's locking onto that step on the blade. So it won't go forward unless this lock is pushed out of the way. So like I said, this rectangular piece for the bottom sliding component will hook onto this rectangular piece on the blade. So just like this, it will hook on, but it goes over this long wall in here, and this piece slides in the channel in a linear motion. So if both of them are in this long channel, since this rectangular piece on the sliding component is hooked onto the rectangular piece on the blade, it wants to pull it forward, as you can see, but this lock right here is preventing this blade from going forward because it's hooked on to the blade right there. So just build up a little bit of tension by pulling this forward, and the moment this lock moves out of the way, this blade will be able to go forward with no problem. So if I push it out of the way, the blade goes forward. So now you pretty much just need something that will unlock the locks for you, so you don't have to physically go in and push the lock out of the way each time you want this to activate. You may have also noticed that this blade went all the way forward past this front lock, which means it had enough energy to go all the way forward and push itself past that lock and lock into position. Alright, so now we can add the slider, but before I do that, I just want to show you how it actually unlocks the locks. So if I take the blade out of here, there's enough room for the slider to fit. So basically it just goes in like this, and that's it. If you look at this lock right there, as the slider moves forward, the slider has a curved surface right there, and that will unlock the lock as it continues forward. As it goes back, it will do the same thing for this lock in the front, and it pretty much switches off when it goes forward and backward, just like that. So that's very simple. So now I'm going to do the same thing that I did before, but I'm going to add the slider in this mechanism. So I'm setting this all up, building up tension on this rectangular piece, and now I'm going to put the slider in here. Just like that, and it will pull itself together because those two sliding components are being pulled toward each other through this long channel. As you saw before, in order to have the blade shoot forward, I needed to push the lock out of the way with my finger. But in this case, I don't have to anymore because the slider will unlock the lock for me. Now remember, since the rectangular piece on there, on the bottom of the blade, is kept in that position because it's hooked on there, and the blade is locked back by this lock, if I push the slider forward, it will build up tension just like that, and it will start to unlock this lock, which means it will go forward. And the same thing will happen for the front section. It will build up tension as it goes back, but it's hooked onto the rectangular piece on the blade, which means as it goes past the sloped surface on the slider, it will retract. So that's the basic function of the blade and how it goes forward and backward. That's this action that you see. Now you could stop there, but if you wanted everything to work using a string and a ring like this, then you need to add a couple other components to get everything to work correctly. Now there is another mechanism where people have put a piece on the slider, and there's a little channel here, and this has glue on it, but it's okay. And it's attached to the slider, and as they pull it forward, it will pull the slider forward like that, and they pull it back, and it will go back, and they just attach a string to that. But for this mechanism, it uses a lot of rotational motion to linear motion to make everything work in a small amount of space. So this is the top cover, and it goes on here just like this, and it has clearance for those two pins, so it can go on there just like that. You may be wondering why this circle is cut out right there, and that is what allows the rotating pin and the wheel and everything like that to work. Now the rotating pin is right here. It's just a really tiny pin that is attached to the circle. It's actually going through it to make it stronger. But as you can probably tell, the slider moves just like this, and it will want to go back if it doesn't go all the way forward. Now as you can see, this is a linear path, and the circle cut out of here allows this to rotate and turn it into rotational motion. And like I said, that makes it take up less space. So this rotating pin goes in this slot right there. And if you rotate this around, as you can see, the pin just rotates around, just like that. Now since this has the ability to rotate using the circle that's cut out, the rotating pin will turn, and it will force the slider to push this direction. And the slider, even though it moves in a linear motion, the rotating pin has all this room to rotate around. like this. And it will keep doing that. Now, as you can see the slot, I just put it all the way to the back, which means the slider is all the way to the back because the slot is in the slider, and the rotating pin is at the bottom, so it will go in that slot right there. And as I turn this around 180 degrees, it will cause the blade to go forward, because now the rotating pin is at the top and the slider is pushed all the way forward. So that's how that functions. The rotating pin just keeps rotating around and will push the slider back and forth, which means the blade will go back and forth due to all the spring tension and the locks inside. Now these pieces here, this is the wheel housing, and this is just a gear, but this gear doesn't actually serve any purpose aside from keeping the rotating pin and everything like that up. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a gear shape, it can just be a circle, as long as it can rotate. Before I attach everything in there, I wanted to show you how this wheel rotates around using a string. So, this wheel housing allows tension to be pulled on this hook, which will cause the string to always want to go back all the way around, just like that. So if I turn it over like this, if I have spring tension pulling this string this direction, that means it will want to go back and lock onto the wheel again here. Now, as you can see, the wheel, it's shaped as a slope going inward like that, which means a knot can hook onto it like this. As you can see, the string can fit through this entire groove, but the knot can't fit through it. So it will just pull it around, which means it will rotate this wheel. So with the knot hooked on right there where it would be, that means it will pull, if I pull the string this direction, it will pull this wheel all the way around until it does what it's supposed to do and retracts or goes out. So here's the wheel housing, as you can see, and on the wheel right here there's a little notch right there and right there that this wheel lock hooks onto, and there's more information in one of the parts of the tutorials on how I made that part, but that's how it functions. It basically locks in front of it. So if I take something like this and I go in front of the little strip of metal there, it will go in front of it and it won't be able to go back. That's how this works, and it also keeps it in place if I put it in here just like that. So this is on a nice steady rotation, and like I said, this just keeps everything up. So all I have to do is screw it into this little hole right there and it will pull everything up and keep it in place just like this. Alright, so now it's in there just like that, and it rotates around nice and stable, and here's the string and the rubber band and, you know, the knots and stuff like that. So this rubber band just hooks onto this hook right here, which means there's always tension pulling this direction, which means there's the knot right there and it hooks onto the wheel. That's why I showed you before I put this together, because you can't really see the wheel right there, but it hooks on there just like that, and it goes all the way around. And the second knot here prevents over travel, which I've explained in those tutorial videos as well. So this rotates the wheel, and this rubber band pulls it back so it can reset every time to allow it to do a 180 degree turn over and over. The over travel knot, like I said, just prevents this from going any further around and preventing this mechanism from working. Alright, so now if I pull this around just like this, so the rotating pin is in the back, I can put it in the correct spot, and since the slider is pushed all the way back, I put the rotating pin at the back, or at the bottom of the circle. And there it is. Now everything rotates inside, which allows the entire mechanism to work. So that's how all of this stuff works for the paper full-size dual action hidden blade. And remember, this isn't the how-to video. All of the tutorial videos actually show you how to build each individual part. This video just shows the function of each individual part. I hope you guys have a better understanding for the OTF mechanism that is used for this paper full-size dual-action hidden blade. Sometimes it's really easy to understand when you're just, looking at it, but when you actually try to build it, it can be a little bit more challenging than you thought. So all you have to do is just stay focused and build one part at a time, take it slow, and eventually it will be finished. I know I say that a lot, but it's important to not give up. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section below or in a personal message. If you recently have sent me a message or commented on one of my videos, I'll get back to you really soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.